Hi, everyone. I'm Tandy Gutierrez. I'm the founder of unicornwellnessstudio.com. And unicornwellnessstudio.com is a monthly membership for 30-minute mat-based workouts. It's monthly guided meditations, new and full moon tarot readings. They're all based and written in a 4-week cycle in accordance to the current astrology and lunar cycles. It is a community filled with incredible women sharing their personal magic in all kinds of ways. And I am dedicated very deeply to supporting them, promoting them, and sharing them. And what better way than to have a conversation with our members for you to get to know them better. Each month, I feature a unique unicorn and share her story, why she gets on the mat, into meditation, and in the tarot on a regular weekly basis. We explore how it supports her expanding and her particular magic in the world, and why she'll never go without the community or its practices again. This month, please meet Dionna Eschelman. Hi, Dionna.
Hi.
Hi. I'm so good. I am so grateful that you're here this month and able to share your magic. I'm extra loving that we did not send a memo to match, but it is proven that the unicorn energies are like, ooh.
100%. 100%. It was always going to be pink for me today. So
I love it. Will you just introduce yourself and genuinely tell us about yourself? I'd rather hear from you, and then I'll pop in and out.
Perfect. So my name's Dionna. I live in Jersey City now, but I was in New York for like 3.5 years, and I'm still there almost every day doing a plethora of things. My first career, and the one that I'm still doing, I come from an acting background. So I'm an actor, primarily doing musical theater and straight plays. Yeah, all that fun stuff. It's a crazy, crazy career. And in the past year, I actually did a lot of new things and kind of delved into a whole new side of myself. And Unicorn Wellness actually has a very big part of that. So I'll get that in a second. But yeah, so I started a podcast called The Nourished Actor. Yeah, and that was a really big start for me to kind of explore this new possible business endeavor, but also just like from personal development for myself, like really digging into who I am, what nourishes me.
Yeah.
Very holistically. So not just food. I mean, food's a part of it, but also, you know, movement, mindset for me was the biggest one. We'll talk about that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and connections socially. Like, what do I actually want in friendships? What kind of conversations do I want to have with people? And that's kind of evolved as the podcast has evolved, which is really exciting.
I'm hopping in real fast, not to interrupt, but it's only been a year for the podcast?
Yes, I know.
On tour.
Yeah, we celebrated a year March 3rd, which was a week ago.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. It came up, I wasn't ready.
Right? You're like, I'm over here trying to like just edit things and get my next conversation. I love that.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. I didn't realize that. That's very exciting.
Yeah, and it's one of those things I've done that has been 100% I learned by myself.
Yeah.
I went in originally not with the idea that it would become anything more than an outlet for me.
Okay.
If I'm being honest, I was out of work as an actor for like 2 years. I did a couple small things, so I wasn't like out of work 100%, but I didn't do any projects for a while that really filled my cup.
Yeah.
And it was a really rough time. And I was going through like, do I want to still act? Is there something else I should be doing? And the podcast was a really fantastic way for me to create and connect. Because my big thing, I think, too, was I was missing connection.
Yeah.
Because a lot of my connections in the musical theater world, especially, I'm not trying to judge musical theater actors. I love you all.
Oh, we can get in the pool, and I want to jump in with you in a minute. Keep going.
Yeah, but I felt like a lot of my friendships were very surface.
Yeah. And
I felt that it was very much like you do a show, you're friends with someone for, 5, 6, 11 weeks, and then you never hear from them again.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But I was
but we need sustainable community. And when you talk, I love your title of the podcast. So this is one of the original things is like the nourished actor. So not to go too deep into it, but I have a musical theater background. So
I love that.
In acting and in dance, and my focus was musical theater. And I do find it really interesting. And I loved the title of your podcast originally. You know, that's what drew me like to you to go, wait a minute, who is this member? What's going on?
Yeah.
Because actors I still put myself mildly in that category. I do not perform anymore. It's been a long time. But I remember that moment of like, this is not filling my cup. It's not nourishing. I love the word nourishment and bolstering, because no matter what it is that we're doing in our lives, we need to stop and ask those questions. Like, is this filling my cup? Does this nourish me? I love it. I still am committed to it. How do I allow it to nourish me if it isn't, and restart its growth? So smart, so deep, and so genuinely connected. And that is really what made me go, whoop, who is this woman? Like, what's she doing? You know? Yeah. So I totally get it. And I also see you, and I want more people to see it, because I'm not performing anymore. I don't seek that. I mean, I
perform.
I know, but not in that way. My little soul wants to sometimes, but I listen to your podcast because it's nourishing and applicable to anything.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And it's a delight, right? It's really genuine. So maybe that's an opportunity, like you launch this to solve something for yourself, which is the best way to launch and create, is to go, it's something I need, something that I want, right?
100%, yeah.
So can you tell us the next thing that you're launching and rolling out? Because it's like the perfect transition.
100%, yes. So through the podcast, I was learning a lot about myself, but also about a lot of the people I was talking to. And I talked to not just actors, I talked to directors and creators of all types. But what I was noticing amongst my freelancers, my creatives, is that we were all dealing with a lot of the same blocks. And as I was creating the podcast, I went back and forth. I did some solo episodes, some interviews, and I realized that I loved the solo episodes because I was answering questions for myself that in turn answered for a lot of other people. And I started getting really great feedback on it. And I realized that something in me needed to help others. And I taught before, I taught theater for kiddos, loved it, but like not 100% my thing. So I was like, teaching doesn't necessarily draw me, at least not that type of teaching. And through one of my other coaches, Bree at the School of Betty, I kind of was doing
also a unicorn.
Yes, another amazing unicorn. She was really the one who helped guide me towards finding that I needed to be a coach. And so I'm starting the Nourished Actor Life Coaching. I'm really excited about it, and it's been great. I'm doing a beta group right now, just as much for me as it is for these wonderful actors who have come to me. And so it's been a 6-week one-on-one coaching program for them. So it's all individual. I'm not doing group coaching just yet, but it's been just insane, amazing how natural it feels for me to be coaching, and also how much change we've really started to work on. And it's only been, we're in week 5, going next week's our last week, and I'm like, wow, like the little, they sound little sometimes what the changes are, but they lead to such big things. So the beta groups ends next week, and then shortly after, hopefully in April, I'm going to start taking clients. Yeah, so this is
you already have clients. It's just official, in April. That's, yeah. I've been teaching and coaching for 23 years, but when I rolled out Magical Mentoring, that was its own unique thing. And it was still this like, wait a minute, but it's always a beautiful shock to genuine coaches, how much progress you can make in such a short amount of time, and the benefit of having a coach with you. And that word has gotten a little, overused.
Yes.
But when you have someone who has experience and expertise and genuine care for someone else's success, like I was starting, I kind of refer to it sometimes as being somebody's like gold doula. It's like they're not the midwife. Like
No.
they're not delivering the baby, and they're not we're not the doctors that the medical assist that might need to come in at some point. We're the doula. We hold space. We craft and cultivate a space for things to unfold, for people to feel supported, so that the percentages of things going wrong go down, which means the percentage of things going up go way up. So I think it's so wonderful that like everything for you is evolving from this very genuine space of what do I need? What am I missing? What would I like? This is actually the question of every entrepreneur. Yeah. It is, it's like, okay, I don't see this in the world, but this is what I would want. And then it's like, oh, hey, there are other people who need this also. Great.
Yeah.
Neat. So your coaching clients, are they strictly actors, performers?
So right now, currently, yes. And the business at this point is going to be primarily for performers, just because that's where I live. But honestly, like you said, with the podcast, a lot of these things are universal. Like it's not just a performer problem.
Right.
But, so yeah, of course, I'm definitely looking into, especially with freelancers. I find very similar in lifestyle, freelancer, performer. So anyone who considers themselves to be a freelancer, a creative, so even if you're a visual artist, whatever the case is, yeah, I definitely want to branch out, not just to actors. But right now, I have, so my beta group clients, 2 are actors, and one's actually an actor stage manager. So,
right. Yeah. I could see how stage managers would really love it and need the support, because they're everybody's mama bear or papa bear. And like they need somebody to hold space for them.
Yeah. Well, and also too, it's funny, now that we're thinking about this, or I'm thinking about this, part of my special sauce, I think, as a coach is also helping people who are on that edge of, do I want to continue this?
Yes.
Because I have been in that multiple times. I'm kind of going through it now because I'm enjoying coaching so much. I'm like, do I need to perform? It's funny, really quick, just want to say, I had so I had like a come to Jesus moment a while ago in like August. I was like, I think I'm done performing. This is when I decided I was going to do a program with Bree that's really big on like making your business, and called the Breakthrough Society. Highly recommend. And I was like, I'm going to be a coach. Like I had this idea and I was like, I don't know if I want to perform. Long story short, I did a video audition for a theater I worked at 3 years ago that I've auditioned for so many times. They just keep like putting me aside. And after I put in the audition, I said aloud, and I said to my group that I was coaching with, I said, I booked that. Like before I did, I just said, I'm sure I booked that. And I did. And it was this weird thing where I thought I was done. Like I thought, or at least for a while. Like I thought, oh, I'm going to make this coaching business and then I'll get back to it. But like life, the universe, whatever you want to call it, said, no, you're not really done yet.
Yeah.
So anyway, just wanted to share.
On this path of listening also. And I think that it's I know that it's really cyclical and common and I love that you put it as a group of creatives, right? So whether you're performing, whether you're making, whether you're behind the scenes or in front of the scenes of a creative endeavor. And I do put entrepreneurs in that category because we're creating content, we're creating ways to market it and to share it and communicate in genuine matters. And that's a constant creation mode.
Yes.
Anyone who is a creative, there are always cycles of wanting to quit and wondering, because it's not a linear path.
Oh no.
and the recharge and the give and the creation is to give something, is to produce something, to put something out there. And I think that I know that we will continue to go through cycles of stopping to question, is this the right path still for me? And I remember when I genuinely put it aside to not audition, to not take the phone calls from people who were like, you always do this with us, can you come do this? And I was like, no, because I did get to a genuine stage of really feeling the reward, both mentally and emotionally and financially, from coaching in the studio. That was more than the other, and it finally just outweighed it. But I asked those questions multiple times, and even with what we do for the last 7 years, I shared recently that I was like, about 3 years ago, I was going to quit. You know, I know, don't do that. But we will all get to these stages, and the most powerful thing we can do is stop and ask, is this the time to continue? And sometimes the universe is so loud and it goes, you have to keep going.
Yeah, 100%. It's been so wild once I stopped. And also, what a great way to like take a lot of pressure off yourself, especially as an artist. It's like we push. This is really good because we're going to lead into unicorn wellness. But like,
segue.
We push so much, and we're taught that. I think that's another big thing about my coaching. I am actually anti-hustle. I don't want to say anti because there's a time and place.
Yes.
But it's so enriched and enveloped in our community as performers, especially. And I am just like, we are sometimes pushing for things that we don't even want. Like, it's just crazy. So the great thing about listening is that you can take a little onus off yourself, a little bit. You can say, I can breathe. It'll always be there. And if something is really meant to happen, it's going to scream at you. You know?
Totally. It will pick you up and put you right over there. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
So perfect segue.
Perfect.
So I always ask how our unicorns found unicorn wellness, because it tends to be this weird secret handshake around the corner. Like, it's never just straight up.
Did you hear about unicorn wellness?
No, it's really, and for a while people refused to tell people about it because it was their secret. I was like, as a business, I was like, no, please don't do that. No, people have been asking me what I'm doing and I won't tell them. And I was like, what is wrong with you? Okay, there's my dramatic side that comes out a little bit. So how did you find unicorn wellness?
Yeah, fun story. It all goes back to Bree. Brianna Firestone, School of Betty. Yep. She posted about it. She had you on.
Yeah.
For one of the first programs I did with her. This is before I really got deep into coaching. It was like a very chill program. It was like once a month we had a guest, and you were on as a guest. And I loved the video you did. And we got like 30 days free or something on the site, whatever it was, a special thing. And I tried it for like one day and was like, this is not for me.
I love it. I love this story.
I was pushing against it. First of all, in college, one of my amazing dance teachers, who I still love, Maggie Anderson, she's fantastic, but she was really big into Pilates, and almost like as a way of being like, I love you, mentor, but like kind of a little rebellion. I was like, I hate Pilates.
Totally.
I don't know, just that's one weird thing. And so anyway, I tried the site for like a day and I was like, this isn't for me. Meanwhile, I will say I was having a bunch of health issues, and I was going through a bunch of energy issues, like physical energy. And that was a lot of other things going on, but I was trying to work out because I thought it would help me get energy. And I was doing all these classes, anything and everything I was trying, but I would be drained, like flattened. And that was when I realized after, I tried this site for a couple days, I was like, no, fast forward like maybe 6 months after, and I'm trying all these things, they're not working. And long story short, Bree suggested again to try unicorn wellness.
Bree's like, hey, I see you.
Exactly.
I kind of went through the whole thing myself.
Right? And I think too, at that point, I was following you on Instagram and kind of understanding who you are. Yeah. And I think that's what really hooked me, because originally I looked at the site and was just like, I didn't see it for what it was, if that makes sense. I saw Pilates in the front, and then I saw, at the time, tarot. I was like, what the fuck is, I'm sorry. I was like, what the hell?
You dropped the F-bomb.
I was like, what the hell is this? At the time, I was very much in the physical space. I was not in the metaphysical space. So anyway, long story short, I finally jumped back in, and from that point on, I've been a pretty hardcore unicorn. Like, I've really dug into the magic.
Right?
And it's been so great. I will say, like, you know, certain parts, it's funny, I'm sure you'll ask, certain parts of the site I like more than others in terms of like what I gravitate towards.
Yeah.
We always have those spots where like we know we should be clicking play, but we're not.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so that's how I found Unicorn Wellness, and I'm a diehard ever since.
Love it. Okay, there's so many things. I'm like, you and I could spend hours together.
I know, I'm so sorry. I keep going and I'm like,
oh my God, no, do not apologize. No, do not apologize. What I want to offer is one, I hated Pilates when it was thrust into my life. So we share that as well.
Yeah.
One of my professors, one of my dance teachers, my mentors, I hated it. Why? Because I was terrible at it. Terrible. My body needed it so badly. It was required in our dance program. And so I didn't have an opt out. Like I had to do it. And I hated it. 3 years, it took me 3 years. So let's not let it take people 3 years to come to my site. But it took me 3 years, and then seeing how my body had changed over that period. I mean, it literally gave me the gift of a physical body I could make peace with. Like, it was unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable posture, literally alone. Only postural. So I totally understand that. Yeah. It's a very precise method, and it does give you a lot of discipline. And if you're not somebody who likes to be told what to do in the exact way, it's, man, is it a lesson, you know?
Yeah.
So I love that you hated it. Where, you know, and you, okay. You were doing all these other things that were draining you, but you realized you needed to take the leap again because you don't have that experience on the mat with me.
No. Oh, God, no. And I think, too, what I love about your Pilates, like, infusion that you do is that it is so personalized. Like, it's crazy because, like, we're doing videos, but it is the cueing. First of all, I'm sure you know, as a dancer, as someone who's done a lot of fitness, I am such a stickler about the cueing. Because so many people have crap form, and then you're making bad choices for your body. It's a whole thing. But what I love about Unicorn Wellness is that even though, yes, Pilates does have a very strict like form, you give options for every body and every, like, depending on how you're feeling on one day, even though you might have a body that is very able, maybe tomorrow you're feeling really sore, or maybe you just woke up and you don't have the energy. And so what I love about Unicorn Wellness is that even within like the cycles, and even if you stay on track with the videos, you have options.
Yeah.
Like every pose, there's an option, which is nice because, again, like some days you get on and you're like 100% like ready to go. Other days you're doing it because you know you should.
Right.
That's okay.
Like, Katie, do not make a joke, and I'm not smiling at you, and I don't really care that you're cheery. Like, I'm just doing this.
Exactly.
Checking off the box. I thank you, because I teach from a space of, one, I have an autoimmune body, and it can feel very different from hour to hour. And because I am fit and appear fit, then I would have coaches and teachers push to the breaking point at all time. That is not healthy. So I do not coach that way, which is something I appreciate hearing, because it's really important to me that bodies have permission at any moment.
Yes.
Especially as women. I choose not to do that right now because I'm making a choice for my body and or my feelings. I'm a little feely today and I don't feel like doing that. I get it. It's not the end of the world.
Totally.
I love that and really, really appreciate that. So in general, because there are a lot of things to cover. So there's the workouts on the mat, there's the guided meditation every month, and then I do the full and the new moon tarot reading for members on the site. You all have those options every month. They're there to support literally your personal magic. So if you had to give an umbrella, you know, how does Unicorn Wellness support your magic, your podcast, your, you know, performance in the world, and what you have to say as a coach to help others?
That's such a good question. Sorry, there's like a garbage truck. New York City life. I'm so sorry because now I'm very distracted. Okay, how does it help me like make my magic even more magical? Oh my goodness. Well, it brings me, so you can probably tell, I got some energy, especially when I'm in a good space. I'm very, you talked about it in my Simple Stars reading. I've got a ton of fire, and a ton of earth. So I'm either like, on some days I'm like, whoa, like the fire is burning, or I'm burnt out, like, and I'm super low energy. So for me, what Unicorn Wellness does is, regardless of if I'm like at a 10 or a 0, it grounds me. And that's the biggest thing, because with my schedule, it's pretty nuts, launching a new business, maybe acting, like it's actually the first time I ever went on a contract this past fall when I left to do that random acting gig. It was the first time that I have ever come back from a gig and not gotten sick.
Ooh, that's a big one.
And I think there's a lot of things about that, but I think one of the biggest ones was the fact that I got on the mat at least 2 to 3 times a week, but most weeks it was 4, at least 4. Because, and also too, that was my first time in a long time dancing really hard. Yeah. I've been doing a lot of plays. And so I reached out to you personally. You gave me some amazing help with a handstand, but also some other things. And it was the first time where, like, yes, my body was really struggling just because the dance was very hard, but I felt like I had a way to rebuild very easily. And that was super important. And I mean, there's so much other stuff. I just talked about the body, but there's also, like, for me, the tarot is super exciting, and just the moon cycles in general. I think it's so smart. You're so smart. Like, who thought to do that? To do, like, the body and the mind and all with a moon cycle, which, like, now that I know about them, I'm all about them. Right. And they make so much sense. At least now that I'm all in.
Now that you know, yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, it mostly grounds me. That's my biggest thing. And also it really helps to refocus my energy, because I can be a little scattered.
I think all creatives, if I can speak for all creatives, we get that way. So you and I share that attribute of, there's a ton of fire in my chart, and yeah. I experienced it for years, right? Of like, and then you just crash. And yeah. Part of what transitioned me out of performance is I couldn't manage my energy levels. I was always sick after a run of a show, always. And yep. It wasn't sustainable. And I was a singer, and it would affect my capacity to perform. It just wasn't sustainable. And it was a thing. And I thought, I've had, thoughts of like, what if I knew what I knew now? And my husband even was like, could you ever go back to that? And I was like, I don't know if I want to, but it's really a big deal of being able to sustain a performance level for a long term. So, like you said, it grounds you, but it also nourishes you and bolsters you to do what you want and need to do without being burnt out consistently.
100,000%.
I mean, that makes me so happy, because this is what it gave me. Like, I teach what I needed. Like, it took me a long time. I was trying to follow other people, and my sensibility was creative. It's, and also because of the autoimmune stuff. But the minute I figured out the moon cycle bit, it was life-changing. And I love to hear you get so excited about that, because this is what I hear resonate on the back end, that people are like, this is so smart. And I go, yay.
So smart. No one else is doing it.
No.
You're a genius. You've been doing it for 7 years.
Right. And before I was doing it on the back end, because I thought people would think I was crazy if I put it on the front end.
Oh, how funny.
Right. And so then it got to a point where it was like my magic and my messaging like didn't need to be behind the scenes anymore, and it needed to really lead the brigade of it. Mm-hmm. But what it does, if anyone who's listening is not familiar with it, the new moon cycle is a time of restoration and self-care and quiet. The full moon is a time of like, go, 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 finish up, extra energy. And the in-between time is really in-between medium time. Like, do the due diligence, put some effort in, but don't, blow it out of the water. So I took a personal training perspective and applied it, and was like, wait, these things are the same. Because a personal trainer, the only thing you really hire them to do, is, because I'm a personal trainer, I'm speaking about myself, is to put you in a 4-week cycle, because that's how progress is made in a body. And so when you then map it to the moon, in particular for women, man, that is game changing energetically. That have this constant ebb and flow of building strength and mobility without the bottom out or the plateau.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it's smart. I like it when other people notice that.
Yeah, once I realized, I think that was the big thing too. It was connecting that, oh, this is why we're doing this.
Yeah.
I'm very like, I'm not necessarily someone who I don't need to know everything in order to like, jump in,
Yeah.
but I am someone who wants to know, like, especially if I have pushback, I need to know, like, well,
Yeah.
why am I doing this? And
Uh-huh.
so once I figured that out and once I really understood the cycles, I was like, oh, well, this makes so much sense. Like, of course we're doing like crazy planks today. It's the full moon. Like,
Right? Mountain climbers and planks, and then here we go with our squats. And it's not all Pilates, right? Like there's
no,
a good mix of functional movement and of yoga in there. Well, I love you.
I love
I
you
love
too.
you.
You're the best. We could talk all day. I could go on. The tarot's been amazing. Everything's been great. My one caveat, you might have noticed, didn't mention meditation.
Well, you know,
We're trying. We're slow. I
that's
jumped into everything else, but meditation is my one like Achilles heel. We'll get there. I do other things in my life that help, but
well, when it comes to the pieces on the site, as a coach, there are things I want in an ideal. I want everybody to get on and do all of it. Yeah, I do. But I know for a fact that's not how humans work, and it's not how life works. Things come when the time is right. Two, that it's really, when you layer in one piece at a time and get those things consistent, the next one's coming. And the workouts, the mat movements, I do consider to be moving meditations.
yes.
They're not the exact same as a meditation. That is my opinion on things, that we need this relegated time in a very busy modern tech savvy world. But I do know that the mat work itself does function as a moving meditation. So you do meditate, it looks different, and there may be another level of it that's waiting to be welcomed into your practice, but it's there waiting whenever you're ready.
It's there.
No, I will say that this month of March, it's different every month, is a much more active meditation. You might try this one because it may encourage you to then make the leap. They're not always the same. They're not always like sleepy restorative. This one's very fire building. Not that you need that, but it pulls energy back to ground it. So it's in standing and it's movement. It's different. So I'm just throwing that out there because I have you here.
I appreciate it. And as a coach and talking to another coach, sometimes you need that little, like, just putting it out there.
I'm just going to mention this. We could just talk all day. I want you to, because you mentioned it before we started recording, because we've talked a little bit and touched on this. One, I have watched you grow. I feel like I don't know how long you've been on the map. I feel like it's coming up on a year if it isn't already. That's why I was shocked that the podcast has only been live for a year, because I thought, oh, you must have just hopped in like right after that. But as a fan of you, I have watched you grow so much, again, from the podcast and listening, and then rolling out the coaching that's coming in April, and you booking some things, and we've done a couple readings on the back end that I've been privy to some details where I go, you're leveling up every step of the way. And I've watched you as a person grow and evolve, as well as your magic grow and evolve, which is everybody's special sauce, right? And you said, so I want you to just touch on this, and then we'll close things out, that you pushed away your magic for so long.
Yeah. I mean, and that's like, oh, we could talk for days. So essentially the biggest thing is I was shut off. Like my brain and my body and everything was shut off for a very long time. I think that's actually quite normal for actors, because it's so weird. We have to be vulnerable, and yet we also have to be very closed off, because we have to like be a business person and show our best self and all these things, right? So out of college, I essentially was like being someone I wasn't. That's pretty simple. Yes, there were things about me that like it's so interesting. It's a whole thing. I met my husband, and he is authentically himself all the time, 100%. And he really helped bring me back to who am I. And get a little, whew. Anyway, that was the beginning. And then I started peeling back the layers of like, why are you hiding behind this persona that you think you should be? And along with that, like, I wasn't like engaging in anything that was possibly like, not religious, not that word, but like, like anything that was, yeah, exactly. Like anything that wasn't in the physical world, I wasn't interested in. And I realized how much that was taking a toll on my mindset, and how by not letting the universe in, I was limiting myself in so many ways. And so the biggest thing when I started working with Bree at the School of Eddie and with you in Unicorn Wellness is that I started to realize, I first started to check in with myself and be like, God, what do you actually want? Who are you? And then along with that, I started asking the universe, like, what's meant for me? Like, all these different things in different ways, with tarot, with journaling, with, just mantras, like all these different things. And I started to realize how intuitive I am. Weirdly intuitive. We have to have another chat.
Yeah.
Like
it's chart says it. I get it.
Tandy, it's insane-orama. Like the shit that comes through when I'm doing a coaching, like, of course, I don't always tell people this because of the fact that I don't want to tell them what to do.
Yeah.
But as a coach, I get a lot of intuitive pings of like, ooh, that's something we should talk about, or ooh, that's a spot.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I started to let myself like check in with myself and also check in with the universe, I started to realize that there's so much magic inside of me. Like I am so energetically in tune with the astrology. Yeah. It's stupid. It's stupid.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know if that made any sense.
It does.
I'm just very like the energy, and I'm also very energetically in tune. So like I'm an empath and I feel very deeply. Actually, we should probably chat personally because I need to figure out how to like protect.
Turn it off.
Yes. But anyway, so yeah, there's a lot going on. But
boundaries and permeable, yeah, totally.
But anyway, what the big thing is that this all came about when I started doing Unicorn Wellness and when I started working with my own coach, Bree. Yep. Like those two things in tandem were what opened me up to so much opportunity. And look at what has happened in a year.
Right?
It's insane to me. I don't know.
That's where I was like, wait, I'm going to ask about the podcast because timing wise, and then the coaching, it's a completely natural progression. I see it. It resonates with complete truth and complete honesty and complete you, and watching and witnessing that in somebody is really, that to me is the most exciting thing. Like that's the most exciting thing because we don't have to be stuck in these paradigms. We don't have to be stuck in what people think we need to be. It can be very challenging to make our way out of it, but can also be a whole lot of fun.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so I just go, yes, more of that. And I also think it's really interesting. Like you said, like originally you were like, I don't know, like the woo woo and the magic part and just show me the workouts, and the workouts stand alone. I mean, they function as fitness and they're smart and they're intelligent. They're scientifically based and they're structurally based. However, Unicorn Wellness does offer that layer of magic. And then people go, what does that really mean? And I'm like, because I want you to be your best self. I want you to feel whole. I want you to feel indomitable. I want you to feel empowered. I want you to feel like I can try that. And if I fuck it up, that's okay too. Like, you know what I mean? So the Unicorn Wellness practice from me as its creator and coach, and the intention is really genuine for anybody who's coming to feel like they're just evolving bigger and better. There's more joy, there's more potential, there's more hope. Because people go, unicorns? And I don't even know if people know this or not, but I chose it. I didn't choose it. It was gifted to me from the cosmos. But unicorns, their symbolism is infinite hope, potential, and possibility. And they're also capable of bestowing complete healing, but only for those of the true of heart. This is a unique person, right? And you are like wandered off and then you're like, I'm coming back. I don't know why. Called to this. And then here you go. All of the magic that you kept pushing away, which is really your superpower, right?
Yes. It's been so great. I don't think I would be where I am today without those two things in tandem.
Yeah.
Getting a coach and doing unicorn wellness and really stepping into like the possibility. I think that's the big thing. Going from like being super like in the physical now, whatever, but not really being there.
Yeah. Right? Isn't
No.
that the weird part too, where you're like, the more of the woo-woo you let in and the more connection you have to your intuition and your personal magic and your own wants and wishes, actually life becomes more connected.
Oh yeah. I feel so much more of like a full human now.
Yeah, right.
This is so woo-woo. People are like, who the fuck? But yeah, no, I feel like a full person. Like when I go into the audition room now, when I go in, I don't feel like I'm putting on a show. I feel like this is who I am. You either want it or you don't.
And if you don't, you go, there's something else, there's something better. It's really genuinely not a fit.
Yes, 100%. It's not me being bad. It's not me being anything. It's just me being.
Yeah, it's just the way it is. Well, I do, you know, Brie gets an extra shout out in this one, that I really do believe that two things. One, that Unicorn Wellness is a community. We have everything that we need within it. I am very committed to the rise of women in particular, in a full spectrum of who we are on this planet, that we don't need to go outside of Unicorn Wellness. We're all here. There are coaches. It's kind of the practitioner's practitioner and space. You know, there are healers. There are, you know, handmade intentional goods. There are all kinds of reps for all kinds of, like, we're all here. We don't need to go outside. And that's really empowering and beautiful as a, you know, there are more than just women on the mat, but that is the substantial portion of our membership. The other piece is too, is I really fiercely believe in all unicorns covering the spectrum and eventually engaging with Brie at some level, because she has all different levels to do it. That makes a fierce female in the world, somebody who can take ownership of their finances, because that's what the School of Betty really focuses on. And dispelling the myths and taking the disempowerment out of it and just moving forward. And then with Unicorn Wellness, you know, but I do think Unicorn Wellness with a coach of some kind, because I can't coach everybody. They need you. They need Brie. They need Cynthia. They need Emma. And these are all unicorns in the group of who there's choices, right? And options. So I love it. I got excited. I'm gonna
I just keep going like this because I'm just like, I'm just so smiley.
Good. I love it. All right. Well, is there anything else you want to share?
No, I love this community. I love you. And I'm just so happy to be a unicorn. I'm like such a freaking fangirl.
Right. Well, the thing is it's really genuine. I mean, for all of us, I love you. I really do. I would not have asked you to be a part of it. I don't want to hang out with people that I don't really dig or I don't really want to share. Like, let's be honest. Yeah. I am so grateful for you in the world and your magic, and the fact that you're a unicorn is inspiring and hopeful and just all the goods of what life should resonate like. So thank you for being here. To everyone who's listening, thank you for listening. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. You can head to the links below to find Dionna and all the ways to connect with her in her podcast, in her coaching. And there'll be links below too if you feel like Unicorn Wellness, you're like, hey, what is this weirdo magic that I think I might need? Or I'm resisting it, but I'm listening, so let me go check it out. There's all kinds of ways to connect. We love you very much. Thank you for spending this time with us, and hopefully we will see you in the private Facebook group and on the mat soon.